Hey, welcome to my COTA lap guide for GT3 and Le Mans Ultimate. Today we're driving the Ford Mustang GT3 with my in-car adjustments such as brake bias, traction control and ABS on the screen just there. Now for the first turn at COTA, we're going uphill and it's a very tight hairpin. We're keeping all the way on the right side of the track, right side wheels along the red area, and we're looking for that second to last Rolex board, and we're braking just before we get to that white line alongside that board. Hard on the brakes on the outside of the track, and we're aiming for a mid to late apex here, waiting quite a long time to turn in, avoiding that orange curb that you can just see outside of the window there. If you cut too tight and bounce over that, you'll have quite a poor exit, so narrow to the curb, just not going too tight. Using all the track width here and then all the way back to the left towards the middle of the track actually to open up your entry line for this long turn to the right, which we can cut our right side wheels over up onto the red area. And around all of this track, the white line is the track limit, so keep your left side wheels within the white line in this case. And now we head towards the S's, which is going to take a lot of confidence and bravery. Through this section, there'll be these orange curbs on the apex of each bend, and we're aiming to touch the orange curb on each apex. So here we're going to touch this orange curb on the inside here, full throttle through the first apex, and then after we get to the end of the curb on the left there, we're starting to get on the brakes just to slow down the car enough for the next bend here. Again, touching that orange curb on the right there. We don't want to cut too far over it because then we can cut outside of track limits. We don't want that. So touching the orange curb, and then we're looking between the two curbs in front of us here. We're going to start braking just a little bit more, cut off some more speed, and then for this final apex, again, we're going to touch the orange curb on the inside as well. And we're bringing the car to the left around this curb. We don't want to carry too much speed and go to the right too early because we need to open up our entry line just enough for this bend here. As we get to the curb where I pointed out on screen, we're going to start touching the brake again, cut off some more speed, then let the car coast and slow down a wee bit. Now we're aiming to apex again at this curb right here. We cut our right side wheels just over the red area, but not too far over. Again, thinking over the track limits, bringing the car back to the right. So we're opening up our entry line for this next bend here. About where that curb on the right starts, we're going to brake just a little bit more, and we cut over this inside curb on the left. And we're aiming to touch that orange curb that you can see as well. I find naturally I want to turn early here, so it's easy to cut over the track limits. Just make sure you don't turn too early. On exit, don't carry too much speed out because you'll end up making this turn up ahead too tight for yourself. So try come a little bit towards the left again. And here we're going to brake a little bit before that curb on the right ends. Then through this bend to the right up the hill, we're going to be quite tight on the inside here, running our right side wheels along the red area. That should keep us nicely positioned for the turn up ahead. Don't get on throttle too early because you'll push yourself across the track too early. You want to aim your car about where that green arrow is as you're coming out of this turn, and then you're going to turn quite quickly and hard to the left to cut over this curb on the left. Running over the edge of that orange curb that you can see there, and if you enter it correctly, you should be able to take this apex at full throttle. And then control yourself on the exit. Make sure you don't fall out of the track limits, which is very easy to do. It's quite bumpy here on exit as well. Keep your left side wheels within the white line, and then we head back down the hill for another hard braking zone with a very late apex. All the way on the right side of the track, we're looking for that second to last motor board, and we're braking right alongside that on that white line that we can see there. Staying wide on entry and waiting very late to turn in here. We want to have a nice straight exit, because if we turn too early, the exit's going to be very tight and nasty. Don't cut over this inside curb too much because it can unstabilize the car and make the exit a little bit worse. But again, try to straighten up that exit as much as you can. Very late turn in now. On exit again, keep your left side wheels within the white line. And now we're on the back straight that curves very slightly to the right. So keep all the way on the right side of the track. You can run your right side wheels on the red and your left side wheels within the white line. Of course, you want to stay within the track limits. And then we're keeping our right side wheels on the right side of the curb, and the curb should be right in the middle of the car right here, lining up for the braking zone. Then look out for the Michelin boards on the right here. We went past a bigger one just before. It's the first small sign that I've marked out on screen here. We're using that as a braking reference, braking a couple car lengths after that Michelin board, and then braking quite hard. Again, we're aiming for a mid to late apex here. It's a very tight turn. Don't cut too much over it, and definitely don't cut over the orange curb there. It can unstabilize the car and ruin your exit. Use all the track width here running to the outside. And again, keep your left side wheels within the white line. Then we're coming back to the left side of the track where we're looking for a white line on the outside of the curb right there. And that's our braking reference here. We're going to start braking as we get to that white line, going as wide as the curb on entry. And then we're looking to the right here where we're trying to apex on the inside curb or just next to it, and not getting onto that orange sausage curb because that will unstabilize the car and you'll lose time on exit. Keep quite tight through here. Pick up the throttle progressively. Don't nail the throttle too hard because you might flick into an oversteer. Then here, cut your right side wheels over the red area, not too much, and then bring your car towards the the right, lining yourself up for the braking zone. So don't go straight where the red arrow is because you'll make the entry line too tight. Come out to around where the green arrow is, opening up your entry line, and we're looking for where that curb starts on the left there. We're braking just before we get to that, and as we're braking, we're not braking too hard, but we're letting the car flow out towards the right here and having, again, a very late apex on this tight turn, because the straighter exit we can have here, the better. If your apex will get on throttle too early here, you'll likely go too wide on exit and invalidate the lap. Keep your left side wheels within the white line here, and then bring your car back to the left side to open up your entry line for this very long right-handed turn. We're looking out for this white line on the outside of the curb here. That's going to be our turn in reference, and we're going to start turning in about where we are now, but really starting to turn it after the white line right here, and then there'll be a first apex right there. Then the curb's going to straighten up very briefly, and then there's a second apex which I've marked as the lift reference here, and we're going to be lifting off throttle before we get to that second apex, staying off throttle for a little bit, and when the front end starts to biting, then we can get back on throttle, bringing the car back towards the right here, looking out for that overboard that I've marked out. We're braking a few car lengths before that. Be careful running too much onto this outside curb, because I do find it likes to pull you around a little bit and makes the car a little bit more reluctant to turn in. And here I'd like to say it's best to run alongside that sausage curb without getting onto it, but you can cut over the sausage curb a little bit without it affecting you too much. Just don't cut too far over or you'll invalidate the lap. Getting back on throttle at the apex, again keeping your left side wheels within the white line, and then for the final braking zone on this track, there should be a service road on the right side of the track over here, which we can now see, and we're braking alongside that or just before that, keeping all the way to the right, and then peeling off the brake pedal, trail braking to the inside, using this inside curb without touching the orange piece. Touching that orange part of the curb on the inside will unstabilize the car and make your exit worse, so be careful of that. I actually got on the throttle a bit too hard there, and I had a really nasty slide coming out of that final turn, which would have cost me a little bit of time. But anyway, it's a short run to the line there, and this lap, it was alright. I thought could have definitely gotten a couple more tenths with a perfect lap, but it's a very difficult track. Anyway, I'm going to play through the whole lap again without any interruptions like I usually do with these videos, and then at the end of the lap I'll come back for a pit entry guide, so I'll see you then. Now for the pit entry of COTA, we'll take the second last turn as we normally would, but then we'll start moving towards the left there, and we're using that Avis board on the right as our braking reference, braking about alongside it or just before that board and aiming straight for the pit entry lane right ahead of us. Bringing it all the way down to first gear, quite tight here, and then picking up the throttle. We're going over a slight crest there, so it's very easy to oversteer, so be cautious on throttle coming out of that turn, and then looking for that white line going across the track. We're braking just before we get to that white line, hard on the brakes there, and that should bring us to 60 km per hour at the line. That's my track guide done for GT3 at COTA on Le Mans Ultimate. I hope this guide's helped you all out. Very difficult track. It's non-stop action all the way around the lap with some very strange and unique turns as well. And it's also a very long lap. It might take some time to get used to, but I hope this helps you out. And thank you all, and I'll see you next time.